Hey guys, welcome back. It's me, Kevin, and today I'd like to share with you some actions you can do to stop being shy so that you can start communicating with confidence with just about anyone. Now, believe it or not, I'm actually a super shy guy. Bring me to any party and you would hardly notice I'm even there because I don't say anything. And maybe you can relate to some of these thoughts that are going on in my head whenever I'm around others. I don't want to ask stupid questions, they don't like me, I'm not important, what if I said the wrong thing, it doesn't matter if I speak up or not because no one cares, and so much more. But over the years, I've started to develop habits to overcome shyness because, sometimes I like to be heard and feel important too. And it doesn't matter if you're an introvert or if you enjoy staying in your own little world, but sometimes you just gotta speak up in order to get noticed, otherwise you might miss a lot of great opportunities. So here are some tips you can put into practice in order to stop being shy and exhibit more confidence when you speak. The first tip is to get out of your head, as in try not to put too much focus on yourself whenever you speak. What I mean by that is stop thinking about what could go wrong or how you will look in front of others and start developing this curious mindset. A curious mindset allows you to shift your focus from yourself to others so that you can start engaging in communication, such as asking more questions, because you would like to know more about the person you're talking to due to the curious mindset. And when you start to focus your energy on them instead of yourself, you would ask questions that are very genuine. And when people get genuine questions, they feel like you're a part of the communication. And also, asking genuine questions make you look like you're not too desperate for attention and also not look like you're someone who wants to be accepted. When I first started developing this habit, I actually had this fear. The fear of, maybe I'm asking stupid questions, or maybe they don't like me, or maybe they do not want to talk to me. But the truth is, these people, they don't really care. People nowadays are very self-conscious, so the more you want to know about them, the happier they are to share their stories with you. So do not worry too much about what people think about you, because chances are those are thoughts that you put in your head. Try and be more like a kid. When you're a kid, you're very curious and you're always asking questions. To me, curiosity is contagious and it attracts people to you. But being curious and asking questions, those are just one thing. Make sure that you are also doing this second tip. Second tip is to be present and listen to what others are saying. When you're in a conversation, don't just be asking questions for the sake of asking questions just so that you can continue the conversation. Because people can tell if you're not listening. People can tell if you're deep in your own thoughts. And when you start doing that, you will begin radiating these signals, telling people that they are boring, and it makes them not want to continue to communicate with you any further. So make sure to ask questions genuinely, but also at the same time, try and give some responses. Don't just keep asking questions after questions at the end of a sentence. Sometimes you just need to pause a little, think, and digest what they have to say, whether it makes sense or not. And if it doesn't make sense, just let them know, because this is one of the ways you can show them that you're actively listening. Now, asking questions is good, but please don't just keep asking questions. Sometimes you need to talk a little bit about yourself as well. And I think this is what most shy people struggle with the most, to talk about themselves. Which brings me to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is to have stories to share. In any conversations, questions flows back and forth. So you might be asking a lot of questions, but the person you're talking to may ask you some questions as well. And you don't want to brush him or her aside, right? So you need to be able to respond to their questions. And responses shouldn't be one-word answers, right? If people are asking you, how are you? And you say, okay. And people are asking you, have you had your dinner? You say, yes. It kind of makes it really hard to continue the conversation. And worse yet, people might think that you do not want to talk, so they will just walk away after you answer a question or two. But the reality is you do want to talk, you just don't know how to respond properly. And I did that for over 20 years. People were asking me questions and I just gave them one-word answers. And I started to look like I'm a really boring person. I gave the wrong impression to people. People start thinking that I'm an arrogant person. But the truth is, I'm just shy and I don't know how to respond. And so over the years, I started to improve myself. I do not want to give one-word answers anymore. I do not want people to get the wrong impressions of me. And I found that being able to share a story works really well. And when I say a story, I don't mean just a story out of nowhere. I'm talking about a story that is related to the conversation you're having. This is by far the biggest hurdle for any shy people because you are already a shy person. So you will start to think that what makes me think that my story is going to be interesting? What makes me think that people are going to want to listen to my story? Am I right? Well, turns out there are such thing as a boring story and an interesting story. And to tell a story, there's a structure that you can follow. So the way to start a story is to first tell people the situation, as in what went wrong, what were the issues. And to me, it is important that you start your story with something bad that happens to you, because that's what people like to listen. They don't like to hear all these things, all this good stuff that's been happening around you. It is like reading news articles, right? The headline is always something negative because that's what pulls you in to read that article. And once you set up the whole situation, just make sure you don't go overboard and start telling lies. Once you have that situation set up, you can begin going to the next stage, which is telling people what you did. So this particular part is going to be the main content of your story. So you can go as long as you want with it. As long as you set up the situation correctly, it will make the person you're talking to get really engaged with your story. So once you finish talking about your content, end it with a result. Ending your story with a result is a great way to finish your story with a proper closure and make people go like, oh, this is what it is. And I'm glad you got that result you wanted. And when it comes to results, I tend to give a positive result over a negative one. Now, of course, not every story ends with a happy ending, am I right? There are some with a bad ending. So you got to end it with a different perspective. So for example, if the story had a bad ending, maybe you can talk about what lessons you learned, what did you get out of it, something to show that, there is still some positivity in those results. Because after all, everyone loves a happy ending after all the ups and downs in your story. I mean, if you really don't know how to tell a story, try and watch more Disney movies because they are really good at telling a good story. And I'm not promoting Disney, by the way. So let me share a personal story with you. I used to think that being shy is perfectly fine until I met someone who is shyer than me, more shy than me. This person that I met, when he talks, he would look at the floor. And when he asked questions, he would whisper. And he's a brilliant guy. He is a really smart person. But no one really wants to talk to him because he is really hard to talk to. And when I saw him behaving that way, I find that being shy isn't really that attractive. And as a matter of fact, it can be detrimental to our life, especially to our career. The fact of the matter is, most of this stuff happens in our head, whether people like us or not, whether we ask stupid questions. Those are things that we make up in our head. And to overcome it, what works best for me is to simply talk to more people. And as I talk to more people, I soon realized that I'm actually not as boring as I thought. In fact, I'm quite interesting, and people are more than happy to listen to my stories. And if you have no one to practice with, then do what I did. Start a YouTube channel and start talking to the camera. And I know this is easier said than done, but I find it to be really good practice. And if your YouTube channel does well, it starts to grow and you can make money off it. But if it doesn't grow, then doesn't matter because you had that practice. So this is the end of the video. Please do leave me a comment down below and let me know what do you think about being shy and do you plan to overcome it? If you do plan to overcome it, please do like this video right now. Anyways, that's it for me in this video. Take care and I'll see you again.